Okay, what are we looking at here, Dr. Sears?
Okay, basically what we're doing here is we're giving you a picture postcard, or comic book, if you will, on how to make canine interferon serum. It's relatively simple to do. The reason we set it up this way is we have a word system on how to do it, but that gets confusing. So this is in pictures, and it really is pretty simple. So, using an 8 to 12-month-old mixed breed dog, 60 to 100 pounds. Why that age? For us, it just seemed that at that age, their immune systems were intact, they were functional. We made sure these dogs were not spayed or neutered animals, because spaying and neutering, which we'll get into later, interferes with their immune systems. We liked a dog between 60 and 100 pounds, because no sense doing this in a 10-pound dog, you didn't get enough blood. You needed to get as much blood out as you can, so you get 80%. So a 100-pound dog, 8% will give you about, what, 80 cc's? I'll get you more than that, give you about 250 cc's. You spin it down, you get about 110 cc's of serum. So you can only do this once. You can't do this more than once in any dog. Why is that? Because you get antibodies to the Newcastle disease virus. You have vaccinated the dog to a chicken virus, okay? At this particular period of time, 8 to 12 hours, this is not a vaccine. This is an immune storm that you have created inside that dog. That dog has been shocked with a virus, and that immune system, if it's intact, is responding. And the response is incredible. So, do a full lab work, eliminate all possible health problems. You don't want a dog with heartworms. You don't want a dog with Babesia Gibsoni. You don't want a dog that's carrying any kind of an immune problem.
No
Vaccinate against all diseases, so you're not coming in carrying something, because you're going to give this to a dozen dogs. You don't want to be spreading disease out there, okay? Okay, do not use breeds or individuals known to have immune deficiency problems. Any dog that's got Demodex you don't want to use. But this is Newcastle disease virus. This happens to be a Lesotho strain. Why that one? Because that's the one the chicken place that we bought the vaccine from had. It seems to work very well, okay? What was the cost? Box of 6 cost us about $10, so you're talking about $2 a bottle. Yeah. Comes with 20 cc's of diluent, usually 1,000 virus particles in these things. We usually made it up with 6 cc's of diluent, threw the rest of the diluent away. Why? Because it was how much the bottle held. The bottle holds about 6 cc's, okay? And you can buy this stuff overnight in the United States and have it shipped to you. Okay, so we place an IV catheter in the dog. We inject 2 to 3 cc's in about a 100-pound dog. Why that much? Because that worked pretty well for us. I mean, it's all a priori, just what we've developed. Do not use any corticosteroids. Why? Because that interferes with your immune system. Okay, so there's our surgery. We recommend that you do it as sterilely as possible. The bottles were given to us by the local lab. Those are 20 cc syringes sitting on the table with 18-gauge needles. They have a, it looks like a splint laying out there. That's a table we put them on their backs to stabilize them. And the dog is, of course, anesthetized. And timing is essential. Timing is everything when you're dealing with immune materials in the body. If you stimulate it with a virus and you pull it off at 6 to 8 hours, you are pulling off interferon. Interferon does not cure distemper. 11 to 12 hours post-injection. Put the dog to sleep, get an IV running on them, shave their necks, and what we did was put an IV catheter. This is a jugular catheter. Why did we use that? Because you could pull a lot of blood quickly out of this dog. If you try to do it out of the cephalic vein, you get really slow as you start to get the blood out. It takes you almost 45 minutes to do this. You can do this in about 15 minutes. And so on the one line you're giving fluids, on the other line you're pulling blood, and you pull blood till the dog looks like it's going to go into shock. Okay, you get as much out of the dog as you can, because you only got one shot at this. So place the jugular catheter, 11 to 12 hours after you've given this the vaccine. Second time around you can't use it because you have antibodies then, and antibodies block what you're trying to do. These Newcastle disease antibodies are useless for any treatment. They don't do anything, okay? Then you take blood, 20 cc syringes. It's immediately put into bottles, okay? 10 cc vials, sterile, no additive, nothing. Just spin down bottles, and you can the lab usually will give them to you. Allow the blood to clot. Now, in the dog it takes about 30 minutes, and a cat it takes about 10 minutes. And the cat, if you don't take the blood off immediately, what happens is the red cells begin to lyse, and then you have hemoglobin in there, which you really don't want. So you want it clear. So as soon as it clots, immediately after clotting, spin it down. You want to get the red cells out of there. Why do you want to get the red cells out? Because if you give red cells to a dog that doesn't have the same blood type, they're going to get a reaction. If you use serum, there's no reaction. Species to species to same species is critical. Okay, that's what it looks like when you take it out. We've pulled the serum off, red cells are left behind. It's put into bottles like that, which are sterile, 10 cc bottles, okay? When you refrigerate this, there are very large proteins in that serum. They're called cryoprecipitates. They make absolutely no difference. You can leave them in there, you can filter them out. We found over time that made no difference, but there are white precipitates at the bottom, which you can see. And if you shake the bottle, basically what will happen is it'll sort of make the serum cloudy. So you can clear it. So a 0.2 filter micron, you can take it and you can essentially pull the stuff out and leave the cryoprecipitates beside. They're not the immune problem you're looking for. That's not what's there. Okay, this is how we stored this stuff. This is the crisper in a refrigerator. These are the bottles in baggies. Make sure the tops have got alcoholed off so that they're clean. You don't have any blood left, or you're going to get, you know, secondary mold and stuff on them. You got to be careful of that. But then you just stick them in baggies and put them in the refrigerator. We used stuff 5 years old and had every bit of the control that the original stuff did. So it's good for, as we feel, up to 5 years, probably longer. Somewhere along the way I read you could freeze this stuff and it's good for 30 years. Go figure. I never froze any of this. We kept it this way in a crisper, in a refrigerator. Okay, how do you treat them? Sick dog. You want to get them before the 6th day if possible. If you get them before the 6th day, they're easy to treat. Here's the treatment. Weigh the dog, 1 to 10 pounds. You give 1 cc of the material plus 1 cc for the dog 3 times. Give it 12 hours apart, 3 treatments. By the time you gave the 3rd treatment, they were already well. And this is what we did for the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, until finally people would write to us and say, how do we get the serum? Well, in the meantime, we had a problem. The FDA came along and it said, we're not going to allow veterinarians to ship serum for anything except blood expansion. Any serum that is shipped to treat a disease in the United States is illegal, and it is to be subject to a fine and jail time, period. So we stopped shipping serum to anybody. You could come to the clinic and we would treat you, but we could not ship the serum out. I didn't want to spend time in jail. Didn't make any sense to me, but that was the ruling. And so we stopped shipping serum, period, okay? So about that time, we realized that you got a problem. What do you do with somebody, say, in France, you can't ship serum, or somebody in Texas, you can't ship serum? Why don't we try just shooting the dog with the NDV straight? All right, well, here's the problem. Distemper can cause immune failure. That's why you have the disease in the first place. It got in around the disease, around the problem. So if you have a dog that has immune failure, you hit it with NDV, it doesn't make the materials that are necessary, it doesn't clear the disease. Conversely, you get a dog with Demodex, we know that dog's immunodeficient. You hit it with NDV and nothing happens. Dies of distemper. Didn't work. You get other dogs that have genetic problems, combined immunodeficiency problems, you can't treat those dogs. You also really can't treat a dog that's less than puberty, because they haven't gotten to the point where their full T-cell system is developed until they go through puberty. Okay, so here we are. Doesn't treat parvo. We bathed dogs in parvo with this stuff. I mean, we gave them hundreds of cc's and had no effect, okay?